Hi guys, welcome back. So I came down to the cafe for somewhere different to talk about an interesting topic which is usually filled and buzzing in this area right behind me. Intellectual property rights. What's it mean to you? What's it mean to me? And data. How does it affect us today? Well, I like to go back to the root of this. What I call the root is when Lars Ulrich from Metallica filed a lawsuit in 2011, April, against Napster. Many of you heard about Napster. It's shut down now, but it was one of the original P2P sites, peer-to-peer, the sharing, to where you can upload and we can easily come in and grab something, pull it down, and share it. Sounds like a great concept, what we do today. A lot of people are trying to do ride shares, different aspects, share their different yard sales, information to each other. It sounds like a common idea for the web and new allocations for the university to get into and our community overall. It's a very interesting technique. It's a way to branch out, make greater relationships, and help each other in the world. But this is an interesting topic because we're sharing music. Everybody thinks music is for the whole world, Beethoven, Bach. But these people are long gone. They're people that are no longer with us and their property rights have gone. Usually it's about 50 years after your death, or a little bit more sometimes, depending on the idea and the philosophy. One of the things we got to think about today is how this happens in our world, in the IT, in the business section, in information science itself. If we look back at that classic case, that music actually became zeros and one. Data, right? Binary data is brought to us, it comes out, we share it. Just zeros and ones? Well, not really. These are artists. When artists get involved, you really get into intellectual property rights. The music itself is owned and copywritten. As soon as you see this video, you can't take it. You'd think you could share it on YouTube, right? No, I'd appreciate it if you don't, because it's mine. If you want to, that's great. I know everybody loves my videos, but I own them. I create this topic, the notes that are scrolling in front of you and the bullet points and the research I did in, it's mine. I'm sharing it with you because you're my friends, you're my students, my peers. But in essence, when I upload this, it's not for you. I might make it public so everybody can see it because I want you to all learn. But this information is mine. If it goes back to the root case of the music, we can think about this. When we shared this without permission, written permission in most cases, it became an illegal action. Those zeros and ones are now transmitted and shared, yes, but illegally. You're now liable. A lot of cases will go to court and most will be settled outside of court. A lot of people will say, well, I always take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I say, and I'll give credit here or there. Oh, yes, but after a certain point, you're stealing. You're not engaging in your own art anymore. You're stealing that ownership. You're stealing that copyrighted information. How does this work for us? It gets a little deeper. What happens when we start writing our own code? A lot of people will share an open source, which is fantastic. It's the way our world's going to grow. Innovation comes from sharing a lot of times, expanding upon somebody else's ideas, adaption. I didn't break no wheel coming here. I didn't make the wheel to get here. I'm adapting on other people's work, other scholars, other researchers. We all do this. One of my favorites is Norman's, and he talks about how we always adapt innovations and designs. That's great. We always give credit. But when it comes down to intellectual property rights and sharing, it can only go so far to where legally we are in trouble if we go too far. A lot of times code is shared on open source. We have to make sure it's credited properly if it has to be. Or if it only says you can utilize it in this industry, you can only utilize it in that industry for that development. If we go outside of the bounds of what is permissible, that tight-knit spade a lot of times we have, we are risking a lawsuit. In the old days of communication law, you would be sued in two different forms, libel pro se and libel pro quo. Let me give you the instance. Originally, way back when, there was a governor that tried to sue because of commentary inside of an advertisement that was made. It was printed information that could be readily seen and transmitted to anybody. This information was picked up. It was the idea of his lawsuit. And the newspaper that published it said, well, that's not ours. We didn't write that. But when they published it, just like you can do on YouTube, you take ownership of this. You are the owner, the publisher of this information. The same thing happened here. They published somebody else's advertorial information inside of an ad, but they were liable for it because they were disseminating the information. So you can be sued liable pro se. It's wrote down, it's easily shared, it's transmitted, it's easily shared, maybe on a website like YouTube or some other one, Facebook. A lot of these places are getting caught for this reason because they become impromptu publishers. Libel pro quo is something a little more difficult. You have to have inference and be able to say, this is your work through identity of it. Or you can make enough references to say, that's my work. Or you're talking about Dr. Spangler, and he's a nice guy. Don't say he's mean. I know, everybody likes me, right? Sure. But the point is, you can be sued. You can't just take snippets of here and snippets of there and put it up. We can share if it's open source correctly, so we have to look at these measures and make sure they are correct, and make sure we're allowed to use this material. If we look at that Napster lawsuit years ago, it was a big deal. It should have never got to that point. They should have been able to, friendly-wise, take it down as it was requested. And this happens a lot of times with cease and desist orders. You may receive one. I've received them myself, believe it or not. I had a snippet once, and they said, hey, stop. They didn't like the idea I used a background of falling water where I grew up once. And I was asked to take it down because that's intellectual property right. Its image is its copyright itself, just like my image is my copyright. You can't use me unless I allow you. Right now I'm a 0 and 1. You still got to ask for my zeros and ones. I hope this helps you understand a little bit about intellectual property rights and how we can get in trouble today. Or how we can make a difference in the world if we do it correctly by sharing correctly and asking permission. Have a great day, gang. I'll talk to everyone soon.